What do you believe is the biggest con of cell phones in the classroom?
I guess one of my biggest concerns for cell phone use is the distractibility and the lack of engagement. When I walk into a classroom, I think that the most effective classroom is a classroom of engaged learners. And an engaged learner is somebody who's locked into either the activity that's being done, discussions with classmates, or in some cases, listening to the teacher and maybe a lecture that might be happening. And we have a variety of all those things happening in class. And so, to me, the biggest con of a cell phone is that lack of engagement and not being locked into the learning for that 15 minutes of the class period. The other piece of it that probably I deal with more than some is the inappropriate use of it, be it cheating, be it meanness, bullying or meanness. It kind of can fall under the same umbrella, but a lot of just meanness and insensitivity. I think a lot of for whatever reason, the adolescent brain maybe reacts before it thinks, and so I think sometimes things are posted because it's really easy to type and hit send without really thinking about repercussions and how it might affect other people in negative ways. And so, that's definitely a piece of it. But to me, whether it's allowed in the classroom or not, those are things that I deal with. Most of the things that, come to me and as I deal with in terms of hoping to be learning opportunities, not all that's happening in the classroom. So when I say, I guess when you ask the question about the no cell phones in the classroom, to me the biggest con would be the lack of engagement. Because that other stuff's going to happen, whether it's in between class, whether it's at lunch, whether it's at night at home, whether it's in the mall, wherever. So to me, that's the biggest piece.
Do you think there are any benefits of cell phones in school?
I think there's benefits to cell phones in general. I mean, I think about, even from when I went to school 20 years ago to now, and the advancements that just in technology in general, and there's some pretty cool things that can happen with cell phones in terms of the accessibility of information at our fingertips. And if you wonder about something, you can quickly have access to that, rather than waiting to ask a teacher or looking it up in the library. I mean, you have the accessibility of it. There's also a lot of teachers who are using it in cool ways in terms of immediate feedback for students, like through surveying and quizzing type things. And cell phones and or computers can be used in both of those cases. So, I definitely think there's benefits to it when they're used appropriately. Unfortunately, in a classroom of 20 people, maybe 15 are using it appropriately when asked, and the 5 that are not, you hesitate because of that inappropriate use. But that's, I think, one of the things we try to teach in schools is, how to disconnect, or the appropriate uses, and when you can use it for fun and when you really need to be locked in.
Do you think our school's policy is too strict or not strict enough?
Well, interestingly enough, Mr. Coverdale and I just attended an ESD assistant principals meeting last Friday, and that's where all the schools of the ESD, so it's schools of our size, meet, and we have one of the more liberal policies. And by liberal, I mean, the fact that we pretty much allow cell phone use everywhere except for that 50 minutes of the class period. There's still schools who are trying to shut it down and have students leave them in their locker and that type of thing. And I feel like we have a pretty fair policy, where we have accessibility, but where we ask students to disengage.
24% of K through 12 ban cell phones from school.
62% allow phones on school ground, but ban them from the classroom.